Hello from my favourite place in the entire world. It's the MKM Stadium car park after dark, after 11 o'clock, on what has been another bonkers day covering Hull City. A 2-2 draw against Preston North End. And if you watched the first half, you would never in your wildest dreams believe that City would fight back from 2-0 down to get anything from a game that they looked completely dead and buried from after 45 minutes. The story of the game. So it finished 2-2. Story of the game. Inside 10 minutes, City were 2-0 down. They were 1-0 down after, I think 3 minutes, although it was probably before that, when Preston roared out of the traps. They won Casey Palmer back in the team, shanked a volley in the middle of the park. They then gave away a free kick. They didn't pick up the man at the back post from the free kick. His free header was knocked behind from the corner. The corner came in, and Cody Drame, I don't know what he was doing. He allowed Thierry Small to take the ball down inside the box, right side, and stick it in the back of the net. He didn't challenge, and it comes, 24 hours or so after the manager, Jurkovic, said that his team were at times too soft, and he wanted them to be, they were too polite. And it was almost like Drame listened to that, because he basically stood there and went, there you go, Thierry, take it down and have a shot. That's basically what happened. And Preston were a goal up. And I've got to be honest, a really strange atmosphere. The game kicked off. It was really quiet. It was almost like the game kicked off without anybody realising that there was a game of football happening, that we were kind of all there just to enjoy the food, really, and enjoy what, I've got to be honest, was a lovely piano display in the build-up to the game of all the classics, the classic Hull City football songs. I really enjoyed that. I know it wasn't to everybody's taste, but I thought it was fantastic. So shout out to the club for making that happen, because it was really enjoyable. But the game was just really bizarre. Obviously there was the minute's applause for Ken Houghton, which was fantastic. As I say, the game just kicked off in a lull, really. And Preston took advantage of that and were 1-0 up. And then City just couldn't string a pass together. They couldn't get out of their own half. The ball, they were 2-0 down after 10 minutes. The ball went back to Pandor. He just played a ball straight to Ben Whiteman, who rolled it into Michael Smith, edge of the box, and he just passed it into the corner. And Pandor just sort of went, okay, there you go, goal. Really, it was a horror show. And in 5 or 6 years of covering Hull City, and there's been some shockers. There's been some absolute shockers. That was right up there. At the risk of recency bias, that first half performance was as bad as I've seen from any Hull City team in 5 years. They were horrific. They had nothing going forward. They couldn't string passes together. Preston just kind of toyed with them. What I would say is, if there was a gripe from an away point of view, it would be that they didn't get the third goal. And I remember writing in the matchday blog that we do that he needed to take off Amir, Casey Palmer, and Cody Drame at half time, because those three, look, as a team performance, they were 1-11 rubbish, and he could have taken off any of them, but he did take off Amir, Casey, and Cody. At half time they were booed off, and as I say, that first half was a disgrace, and it looked, without being too dramatic, we've all seen performances from teams where you think, are they trying to get the manager sacked? And it felt like they were down in tools. It was a spineless performance in that first half. Probably apart from Kyle Joseph, who, bless him, Kyle just ran his socks off, and he got nothing from the referee. And he was the one player in that first half that was, as well as McBurnie to an extent, that were... but they had nothing. Defensively, they were a shambles. Midfield was a shambles, and because of that, they couldn't get the ball forward. However, at half time, he said to me, Jurkovic, at the end of the game, I needed to change something. He sent on Joe Gowhart. He sent on Regan Slater, and it was fantastic to see Liam Miller back in the team. 342 days, I think, since Liam did his ACL here against Burnley at the back end of October last year, and they needed a response. They needed something, and within 3 minutes of the second half kicking off, Giles to McBurnie scored, and that obviously changed the atmosphere. But even in the moments before that goal, they were playing forward. It was like watching a completely different team. It was incredible, and they got the goal. Obviously, that lifts the crowd. Then the City is surging forward. They had chances. Gallhart with a rasping free kick from the edge of the box, or maybe probably a bit, maybe 30 yards, and he's pinged it top corner. And Daniel Everson, who made an unbelievable save to deny Bristol City a goal late on Saturday, tipped it over. But Preston were not without the chance. Obviously, City were, defensively they're a mess. They really are a mess, and that's something that's got to be fixed. But Preston had their chances, and it's funny. I've just walked out the ground there with Paul Heckingbottom, and I said it's funny, isn't it, how it goes around. On Saturday, in the first half, City 1-0 up at Watford. Giles to Cody Drame. Drame should score. Baxter makes a decent save. That should be 2-0. And if City go in at half time at 2-0, they probably win the game. At the second half today, City are on the front foot, but Preston get a really good chance. Bit of a scramble in the box. They're a bit unlucky, City, actually, in Hughes and Egan. The ball sort of bounces off one of them, and it falls to Alfie Devine. And he skews it over from 4 yards out. If that goes 3-1, it's probably game, set, and match to Preston. And he doesn't take that. And we said at the time how crucial could that opportunity be. And lo and behold, 15 minutes to go. Giles, lovely overlap, 1-2, gets in the box, cuts it back. McBurnie there, 6 yards, scores 2-2. And then Preston, to be fair, had a couple of other openings. Then right in stoppage time, Hull City are pushing for the winner at Lundstrom with a rasping volley, and Everson tips it over. They could have won it. I think that would have been harsh on Preston, if I'm honest, given how dominant they were in the first half with a couple of good chances. They had a penalty shout. Apparently, the fourth officials told Heckingbottom that they should have had a penalty. All kind of things were happening second half. But look, as bad and they were awful in that first half, absolutely awful. But they were brilliant in the second half, and they've come back and they've got a 2-2 from 2-0 down. They've got a point. And they take that into Sheffield United on Saturday. A Sheffield United team that led against Southampton at Bramall Lane, lost 2-1, and Chris Wilder got sent off for kicking the ball in the crowd. So he won't be on the touchline on Saturday, which I mean, we're not short of narratives, are we, for, Hull City against Sheffield United at the best of times. McBurnie, Lundstrom, Egan, Regan, Jared Dublin, obviously, to a lesser extent. There's plenty of narratives, and now Wilder's been sent off. And he won't be on the touchline. So, look, chaotic second half, but you have to. He's gone. Tiger Nicola. He's gone past it. He's got 7 goals. He's got 6 in the league. He got 1 at Wrexham in the cup, his first. So he's now on 7 goals for the season. So he's already. We're not even through September. We're clinging on to September, and he's already gone past João Pedro's tally for the season. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. There was one moment second half where I think it was Liam Lindsay was trying to usher the ball out in his court towards the corner flag on this near side. McBurnie grapples with him, wins it, and then not only does he win it, he then has the presence of mind to play a lovely little ball through for Liam Miller, who then runs onto it and bends it, and it gets deflected far post for a corner. So look, it's not only is he lethal in front of goal, McBurnie, but it's his all-round play. There was, he was back defending, clearing second half. I can't remember if it was at 2-1 or if it was at 2-2. Forgive me, but the point I'm making is that in both boxes he's there. He's everywhere, and he's setting up other players. We've seen it already. We saw it for the Lundstrom goal against the Saints. That header down from Coyle's ball in. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And I've interviewed him again after the game. His box office is McBurnie. He's talking about Miller, how Miller's the most annoying boy in the world, but he loves him because he's just brilliant, McBurnie. You want characters, whether it be in the dugout or on the pitch, and McBurnie's one of them, and he's in Hull City's team, and by crikey are we pleased he is, because those goals are so crucial. Without his goals, they don't win tonight, they lose. So he's absolutely crucial to this team, and we pray he stays fit, because God, they need him. But yeah, who was it? I just read. You made a good point. Yeah, Harry. Defensively, they're a mess. They really are, and it's the manager is trying to fix it. He said he might have to change his approach psychologically this time, tactically. but that's 2 more goals tonight. That's 16 in the league for the season. Again, they're average. At least they're consistent. They're keeping up the 2-goal average. But you can't keep relying on McBurnie to get you out of the mess to get a point. They've got to tighten up. Yeah, poor Giles. Yeah, Giles. Nobody. Heckingbottom referenced it. He's absolutely furious with his team. He says because we practiced it in training. We spoke about it. Not allowing Giles down the left-hand side to cut back to McBurnie. It's their biggest threat, and we've let them do it twice, and they've scored 2 goals from it. But it's easy. Football's easy on paper, and it's easy on the training pitch to go, we've got to stop doing this. But in a game situation, it's a different kettle of fish trying to stop it. And that Giles combination with McBurnie, by the way, on Giles going off injured, he just had cramp, so it should be no concerns for Saturday. Although this is Hull City, and we know what our injury record is like. So the manager said he's got cramp. It looked like cramp at the time. Hopefully he's going to be fine for Saturday, because obviously he would be a big miss. But yeah, you guys have picked up on it and mentioned it. The Drame, I got what he was doing on Saturday with Drame. He wanted to be a bit more pragmatic away from home, so he wanted to double up down that side with Coyle and Drame away from home. And look, in fairness to Cody, he had 4 or 5 really good opportunities on Saturday where he got to the byline. He obviously he created the goal for Oli at Vicarage Road. So in some respects, it would have been harsh to have dropped Cody tonight, because he played well, and going forward, he's actually quite effective, but it just didn't work. It was a mess. Cody had a night, and obviously after 3 minutes, when you concede that goal, his confidence would have been shot to pieces. And he just, every time he got the ball, he gave it away. Defensively, he was all over the place. He didn't know tonight. It looked like he didn't know what he was doing. In terms of what I mean by that, in terms of what he was being asked to do, he looked confused. And as I say, Cody's a confidence player, and when he makes that howler for the first goal, it rocked him. And look, he obviously got pulled off at half time, and the changes. The manager got criticised at Watford for the changes that didn't work. Well, the 3 changes he made today, they just lifted everybody. They lifted the crowd. The crowd suddenly, even from the kickoff, they felt positive that the changes were, and they were just playing forward. Regan's energy in midfield, felt Lundstrom was better in the second half with Regan. But again, against Southampton, you felt first half that combination really worked, him and Hadzimatovic. So I kind of feel for the manager in some respects, because he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. And the combinations, he's trying to find that right combination in the middle of the park, and against Southampton it worked. First half at Watford it worked brilliantly, second half it didn't, and tonight it didn't work at all. And he changed it, and he went Regan and Lundstrom. In the past, Regan and Lundstrom hasn't worked. So I don't know what to suggest. But what we do know is Joffrey came on with a bit of a point to prove. His energy was great. Liam running on adrenaline, that worked really well. He was a live wire second half. But look, they had to get the first goal in the second half, and they did. Gave them a platform. It got the crowd into the game. They played forward, and they looked to threat defensively. As I say, they are just they're tragic at times. They are a mess, and he's got to figure it out. He's got to find a way of tightening up. A scruffy 1-0 would be just the ticket, wouldn't it, on Saturday? But look, they're still a new team, new manager, still finding their way. They're going to be a team that win a game, lose a game, draw a game. And look, I get what you're saying about being negative. Unfortunately, when they concede a goal after 3 minutes, or 2.5 minutes, I think it was, it might have even been earlier than that. That changes the way they go. They were brilliant against Oxford at home. They had to set up differently against Southampton. Yes, they were poor against Blackburn, but we know the mitigation of illness is there. They had to set up differently against Southampton, because if they'd come out and played on the front foot, there's a fair chance that Southampton would have picked them off. So they set up differently. They controlled the game without the ball and scored. So I have zero complaints with how they played against Southampton, apart from that first 10 minutes of the second half, but then responded brilliantly with Lundstrom's goal. So, yeah, I don't think he set up negatively tonight. I think he felt that he needed something a bit different, bringing Casey in. That didn't work. I get the argument that he played without natural wingers, but obviously Ndala's not fit. Balloum is now out injured. He couldn't start Liam Miller. Akintola's a bit of a headless chicken. I'm not sure he trusted him from the start. So I kind of get what he did. It just didn't work. And sometimes you try something and it works. Sometimes you try something and it doesn't work. And he paid for it. But equally, the personnel out there just didn't play well enough. And I think we can sometimes get bogged down in tactics and systems, and players get off scot-free. That was a shambolic performance. It wasn't down to tactics. It wasn't down to systems. It was down to the players out there not playing well enough. You know, not winning that, not marking the player for the free header from the free kick inside a couple of minutes. That's not tactical. That's just basic stupidity. Not winning, not marking, not winning headers. Drame saying to Thierry Small, "There you are, mate. You take it down and have a shot." That's not tactical or systems. That's ineptitude from Drame not doing his job. Giving the ball away. They were just rubbish in the first half. They were absolutely garbage. And I think it was as much down to personnel. But I agree with you. Yeah, I thought Joseph was the one in the first half. In a shambolic first half, I thought Joseph was the one that was trying to get on the ball and make things happen. Unfortunately, just nobody else was there. Nobody else was bothered. So everything broke down. But like I say, second half they were brilliant going forward. Defensively, not so great at times, and that is something that he's got to figure out. Because as I said before, I think I said this on the podcast on yesterday, whatever Monday was, that there's so much to like about the team. You know, they've got some big characters. We love McBurnie. Going forward, they look superb, but their defensive messness is going to hamper any progress of them getting anywhere near the top 10. And definitely, does he bring back Shemi Ajayi for the weekend? Potentially, he brings back Shemi. Shemi apparently said to him that he didn't feel ready to start tonight, so that's a concern if he's not feeling ready after 2 weeks of being in training. Crooks could be back for the weekend. Brandon Williams just not involved tonight. Maybe he's an option. But again, I thought Coyle was solid. Giles was brilliant going forward. So, you know, Brandon Williams probably isn't going to come into centre half. So it's a big problem. Clearly, defensively as a unit, they're just not at it. They're not good enough, and they've got to get it right. Because as I say, any hope of them of having a really good season is going to be undermined by the fact they're shipping 2 goals a game, and that can't continue. They've got to be. I mean, I don't think the goalkeeper's great at the minute. I think the goalkeeper's poor. Catherine mentioned this on the podcast yesterday. The fact that it probably, and this is no disrespect to Dylan Phillips, but it doesn't feel like Pandor's got a top-level goalkeeper pushing him like a Carl Rushworth. If Carl Rushworth's here pushing him, Carl's probably in the team now, because Ivor's having a really difficult time of it. And again, this is not personal. You call it as you see it. And the goalkeeper, the goals they're conceding are poor goals. He's not being helped, the goalkeeper. But I think some of, you know, I just don't think the goals they're conceding. I think he can do a lot better. And perhaps because he's not got a top goalkeeper pushing him, is he complacent? Only he will know. And I'm sure that's not the case, because he's a professional goalkeeper, and he'll have high standards. But I do think Ivo will be really disappointed with his performance. You know, his kick out was awful for the second goal. Could he have done better for the first goal? Potentially. Felt he could have done better at Watford. But that said, there was before his kick out for the second, there was a moment where he tried to play out and he'd got no options. So the players in front of him have got to help as well. So, but as a collective, defensively they're a shambles. And they've got to fix that. They've got to find a way to start keeping clean sheets, because they cannot keep going like they're going. And you can't rely on McBurnie to bail you out every single game and score twice. You can't rely on your attacking players to bail you out and score you 2 goals a game when you're conceding 2 goals a game. They've got away with it tonight. And as I say, take nothing away from that, the way they fought back, because that showed a huge amount of character when you've been booed off at half time, and rightly so, because they were a shambles in the first half. So right, that's that's it from here at the MKM Stadium tonight, because it's getting late. Terrific second half fight back, really impressive. Gives them something to carry into Sheffield United on Saturday. We'll be back with the manager on Thursday to look ahead to that game against Sheffield United. Early kick-off here against the Blades, who have been beaten again tonight. As I said before, Chris Wilder sent off, so won't be on the touchline for that. So it just adds to the spice of it. Crooks could be back for the weekend. We'll get confirmation of that on Thursday. Hopefully Ajay is okay for the weekend. Hopefully Liam Miller recovers well. It was fantastic to see him back on the pitch, and he looked great. You know, first game for nearly a year. Obviously he was going to be a bit rusty, but I really enjoyed watching him play. And I just love McBurnie. He's brilliant, isn't he? He's absolutely brilliant. He's box office. Right, that's it from here at the MKM Stadium. Thanks everyone for watching. Plenty more coverage, of course, coming over the next couple of days, leading into the weekend. Stay safe out there. Up the Tigers. We'll be back again.